My HD drive died, and thus I lost every piece of footage I had saved up, and every replay I ever had. Times are not fun right now. I'm having a new one delivered, and I'm hoping to try to fix the older ones, but all the footage I had saved is lost, and all projects that were in progress are lost as well. I was in the progress of finishing the when to play, or when to pick Volibear, and when to pick Twitch videos, and I was half finished with the when to pick Karthus one too. I also actually did have the final ganking video that would have led to an article finished, as well as another nutshell video. Those videos and this really stupid Reddit post encouraged this rant actually. The Reddit post is linked in the chat, the description below. Basically, put some guy praise some other random dude for his opinion as to what is wrong with the game. The guy raved at how the game has become stale due to the fact that very few champions are played in competitive, and that because of that, you can always see the same bans and picks in ranked. It is true that the players seem to always gravitate to the same shit in ranked, but that hardly is the game's fault. Yes, the balance of the game will sometimes dictate which champions are more commonly picked, but it is the player's fault that it gets so severe. The top post of their Reddit thread actually hit the nail on the head, and that's what I'm going to kind of go over. It's kind of the same thing. It's the fault of the player base that this shit gets so bad. Players do not know matchups. Players vastly underestimate and overestimate champions. Players are so quick to blame other people for their losses or whatever. It's a mix of a lot of stupid shit and delusion and ignorance. Just the other day, I was raged at by two teammates for my jungle picks. I picked jungle Nasus in one game, and my top laner kept egging on me for it. He even went as far as checking my match history to see how many times I've played Nasus, what division I was, and he even used it as a reference to assume whether I knew what I was doing. The opponent he had in that game, his top lane opponent, was actually a player I had in a previous game who was really dumb and constantly died. So I told my teammate, hey, said keep in mind that your opponent is very suicidal, so they'll be trying to all-in you all the time. And my teammate, the one who was opposed to my jungle pick, said, I'm more worried about your first time jungle Nasus. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, it had, the guy was just automatically already being super negative. And it is kind of true that it was my first jungle Nasus game on that account, even though it's have a lot of them on the other accounts. But yeah, this guy was being a dick. And it didn't end there. It didn't end there, of course. He constantly bashed me throughout the game, saying stuff like, "I wish we had a jungler," when he got ganked, even though I was not in a position to help him, and it was his fault because he was super pushed out. He fed super hard while I was obtaining dragon and bottom ganks. I actually got 2 dragons. He fed hard, and he just bitching, and he said things in our chat. You're only winning because I have a troll jungler. The rest of the team turned on him, but it's shitters like him that lack the understanding of anything. The other case was similar, in which I picked Jungle Trundle, and my teammate immediately gave a negative response, saying Jungle Trundle's a terrible jungle choice. As a protest, he picked Barrier, Ignite, Heimerdinger, and went top lane. I dominated that game really brutally, and including burying his lane opponent and, saving him a few times. We lost, and the guy just kept raging like a bitch, saying we had terrible picks, saying Jungle Trundle was terrible. Even though, I kid you not, I had about 5 kills and a bunch of assists with no deaths until the end of the game. Even if some players want to pick different champions, the negative feedback from some of their teammates can be so discouraging. Well, some players simply know better and won't care, which I often do when they say stuff like, don't pick Jungle Zac or Trundle. Some players might not want to cause infighting for their team so early because they feel morale is so important. Hell, I had a game where my teammates laughed at the enemy Swain because, lol, Swain is such a bad champion, and then they all stupidly picked pure melee champions and were sodomized. My teammates just fucking realized you don't pick melee champions against a Swain. The idiots didn't realize just how bad counter-picking can be for a team, how matchup dependent some champions can be. I'm pretty much baffled as to how high diamond and challenge players pick whatever the fuck they want and don't care at all and still win, and we have low level players who still pick whatever those same pros do. We have AP mid Sejuani's in diamond and challenger, random jungle champions like Jungle Veigar, Victors, one of the most underplayed champions, and they still win, they still dominate. And it's hilarious just how idiots cry about players not picking top pro choices in lower level solo queue, but don't realize that those same pros pick whatever the fuck they want in solo queue in their divisions and still win. So yes, the player base is at fault here. It's their fault for not trying to understand champions. It's their fault for trying to push other champions onto their teammates and not understanding that, it's probably better to let this guy pick jungle Master Yi or jungle some other crap rather than force to play a jungle like jungle Kha'Zix, someone they're not comfortable with. And just flat out, not understanding that matchups really are what dictate solo queue dominance most of the time in lower divisions, not competitive picks. And that even competitive picks aren't the best picks at all situations. So next time, if some dickweed tells you your champion choice sucks, just tell them to go eat shit and die.